Welcome to the Clueless Luthier. I'm Mark. From the introduction I have planned for this, you probably determined I ran into a little bit of an issue. The long bracket that I put in there, I couldn't get it out simply because I couldn't get it to detach from the blocks. The block. I'm not sure why. The one at the far end I couldn't get out. The other one was stuck in the braces. So basically, I cut it in half to get it out. So before we start getting ready for the binding today, I'm just going to run the clip I shot of what I did. So here's my dilemma. As you could see in the intro, I had to cut that middle brace out because, well, partially because the block at the other end of the guitar just wouldn't come off and give me enough room. But this block is jammed with the braces tight. And so I had to figure out how I'm going to get that out without damaging the guitar. So I'll get back to you. Well, fortunately, the answer was a trusty crescent wrench and a little hammering. It did come out fine, so on we go. All right, now that we're sort of back on track, I'm going to take off the excess wood on the back and the front. So what I have my tiltable base that I have set so that as I go across the top of the guitar, which is at an angle coming down, the bit, and this is a depth guide, which will keep the bit away from the body, and it's really only set almost just enough to take the wood off anyway. But so what I'm going to do, and if you saw my last video build, you always start from the kind of at the top of the bout, I guess you'd say, and go in this direction. Then the same thing here, and then I'll go back all the way around. That is to reduce the risk of tear out. So let me get my ear protection on here and do this thing. All right, I have taken this extra wood off, all of it, maybe a little extra wood, and this is something I'm trying. Well, first of all, I have a new toy. It's made by Elevate, company Elevate, and it's basically kind of a mini drum sander, if you will. And what I'm going to be doing, I did some checking this way, and everything looks pretty darn good. I've got a good base. So I'm also going to make sure there take any waves out of it this way. And I have a fairly new dry vac, or wet vac. Can't see it, but it's here. See if I can suck up some of the dust, because this is going to create a lot of it. So let me get set up here a second, and I'll show you how this is going to be done. Oh, also, what I'm going to do, kind of see where You're sanding, so you know if you've got some low spots or not. And whoop. Yeah. Okay, and I'll get this cranking. That did a really nice job of making sure it was all squared this way. But I don't know if it's user error or what, but I felt I was getting more bumps a little bit. Now maybe I need a sandpaper that's not as coarse. I used 80, which is I believe is what they sent. So what I did afterwards, it'd be good if I had spring steel, but I don't. I just kind of did a little bit of this, and it took those marks out really well. So, yeah, be careful down there where the net meets. But kind of work on this a little bit more, and I think we'll be done. Now the next thing I have to do is I have to cut out the this part of the guitar where the neck fits in, and I just started it. This part always freaks me out. Freaked me out last time too. This one's a little different though. I got in a little deeper than I planned. I marked this off of the form that designer gave me, but apparently it wasn't exactly right. I don't think it's a problem, but I'd like to find a better way of doing this. This really makes me nervous. But okay, now it's time to get ready to do the even more terrifying part, is routing out the binding channel. Well, I have done a test cut on another board. Did a little bit of test cut down here where I knew it could be hidden by the neck. And I've run out of excuses to procrastinate. So let's go. This is looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy so far. All right, so I'm gonna reset my Dremel, and then it's time to set up to do the back. Well, this is kind of a drag. I'm not sure how that suddenly went so deep. I still haven't figured it out. Some adjustment I made countered another adjustment. So I have to figure out how to patch this. Obviously, I have an issue with that gap. So I'm gonna, I think, reach out to a couple of the luthier groups I'm in, probably the acoustic. Maybe someone has a good idea of how to do it. The other issue I actually ran into is a smaller one, but same thing. When the guide got to this, it went in, and I caught it, but not before it did a little ding. That, I'm a lot less worried about that. This one, making this one look good, I don't know. It's kind of a lot to just put in some sawdust. Maybe I can might be able to piece something in and glue. I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to take a frustration break. Good morning. It's a brand new day. Same issue, but brand new day. So, I've been contemplating my issue here. I want to give a shout out. I'm on a couple Facebook amateur luthier Facebook pages, and I set this question out to the amateur acoustic luthiers. I should get that name right. And I couldn't believe how many responses I got on recommendations. And the one I was kind of thinking of anyway would have been to remove this in a straight line all the way across. And then take a piece of the same mahogany, glue it back on, then reroute that portion. Here's the issue. I don't have something that long. Being a kit, it's not like I cut this from a big piece, and there was very little overhang to begin with. The only thing I have, is this, okay, and that, that I cut out for the tail block, where the neck ties in. None of it has a grain going that direction like that. So I do have some veneer. It doesn't match closely enough. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out trying to piece this in like this. I'm also going to have to build it up because it's not thick enough. I'm going to have to use more than one layer. I'm going to try that first. If that doesn't work, I still have the option of trying to find some mahogany that matches and just take it back out. Some other suggestions were wider binding or purfling. Once again, that's a commitment that once I go that route, I have to continue that route. So I'm going to take this piecemeal and try the smallest solutions first. So I'm going to work on putting together a chunk to glue in here, and I'll come back. Well, let's see what it's going to look like with some naphtha on it. Wish I couldn't see the line quite as well as that, but I'm going to accept it. That's, in the end, I think it'll look okay, and no one will notice it. Except it's time to go to the next step. I have to cut the sides for the end strip. This is what they sent me. It's a piece of maple. And what I've done is I've marked the center here so I can see it, and then measured, it's a 1 inch wide. Same thing here. And I'm going to line this up. I tried to go inside a little bit, and I did. That was a little bit too much. Let's try this. I guess that's safe enough. Sorry, totally blocked it, I know. Okay. Then, I'm going to use this saw. This keeps it a lot straighter than my Japanese saw. And I want to make sure I get a nice line. Start backwards. So I get a... I feel like it'll be in. All right, this is looking good. Let me make sure. Have a straight edge or something here to make sure I'm okay. Yeah, it's a little long on the bottom. I will file that to suit me later. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is let's get this glued in. All right, now I'm going to leave that set for at least 24 hours. And then I'll get this to end length and we can do the binding. I have glued up the end piece to let that sit, but in the meantime I found a piece of mahogany that matched this. I didn't even know this was in my kit. It's not really for anything they've listed, and it's long enough, it's way long enough, to fix this the way I want it to. And so, in the interest of learning, I'm going to do it. All right. I have cut this, filed it, and this is what I'm planning on doing, right like that. There's going to be a little gap, and I think I've learned that's all right, because what I'm hoping is, I'm not going to get it totally tight, but I can put some wood glue in there and some shavings, and hopefully that'll match pretty well. So let me get my stuff together and we'll glue this up. All right, I'm going to put some accelerant here. Not sure if I should or not. I'm a little nervous about how well I can get it on first shot, but it's on. All right, now fingers up and get it even as I can. Hold that sucker on. I'll let that sit a minute. That feels pretty good. Just wanted to point out one other thing I did. In order to get this flush with all the filing I did, there was a little gap in here. So I poured wood glue down here and brushed it down in just to make sure that was filled in good. And I'm going to let this sit up overnight to make sure that, because I'm going to have to sand and route this, it's going to be taking some torque. And I just want to make sure that it's stable. All right, so have this glued on now. It's looking pretty good. One thing I will mention, and I might do some more. I didn't get a video of this, but there was somewhat a more open crack here. I put some wood glue in here and some sawdust, mahogany sawdust, to fill this in a bit. Once I get this done, I'm going to take a look and maybe I'll try to get more. I'm not sure there's enough of a gap to do anymore though. So I'm going to get my ear protection on here and let's route this off. All right, that looks much better. I'll have to get my binding out and double check everything. But I like that a lot more. It shows much more as like a line of grain than it did. Hey, the next thing I have to do is I have to take this down, and I have to take this down quite a bit. That is quite a bit thicker. So I'm going to take it and start scraping it. All right, I had a little bit of an issue, and I forgot I didn't get the video on when I was fixing this, so I want to point it out. When I was scraping this down, the scraper caught some of this wood and did some tear out. What I did is I took the piece where I cut out for the neck, and I was, as best as I could, I put like 3 of the deepest fills in with super glue. And then I'm going to let that dry a little bit. Clean this up. And then I'm going to put the binding on. Then I'll fill whatever else I can with sawdust and just hope that it's not too obvious. But that was a bummer. So, okay, moving on. All right, I think I'm all ready here. I have my first few pieces of tape, because that's the hardest to get started. My tape dispenser's down here where I can reach it easily. You can't see it. Down here I've also got my accelerator and my super glue, number 10, and some paper towels at the handy. I think I'm ready. So let's see, I'm going to get some accelerator on this. I got some in there. All right. So binding on the top is all glued on. Okay. Now I'm basically just going to do the same thing to the back. Right. I still have some more work to do down here. I'm going to hopefully use a finished sanding to improve this because I'm not happy with that chipped out. If I'd have been thinking ahead, I would have done a purfling. I would have taken care of a lot of it. But I didn't think ahead. So the next thing I have to do, as well as that, I'm going to use scraper and bring the binding flush with the body. Go slowly here. Now I am scraping along this direction to make sure that these are flush with the sides. Keeping an eye on any gap, and if I start to take off wood, I know I'm there. Well, it's all closed up. Of the problems I had, this one, it's hard for me to even see. One thing I don't think I remember to mention, I was putting on the front purfling, and it was a little out of place, and I tried to move it, and I actually broke it. So, while I was working on this, I took some super glue in there, number 2, and I can't find it anymore. I don't think I can find it anymore, so that worked well. Unfortunately, the one I am the most bummed about is you can still see it. I'll have to zoom in. I'm still working on it, but you can see where that little tear out was. It's still discolored. So I'm going to keep working on that to see if I can improve it. But that's it for now. Next is to start working on the neck. So I appreciate you if you made it through this video. I'm not sure how long it's going to be. I'll really edit it hard. But I appreciate you staying, coming by and sharing the journey. Bye.